He finished his course, but when he went back home, he was not ordained. So that is why my mom always asked me, she said, your uncle failed. Why are you going? I said, I am different from my uncle. You pray for me, and God will help us. But when I arrived in the seminary with the rector happened to be on the boat with me. And when we arrived, the seminarians all came out. And they took my bag and things there. And I had friends all over. In the 7 years, I never went home. So I know many parts of Igbo land, especially, and Nigeria. And I spent 6 months as a priest in a parish officially. So I learned to speak Igbo, small. And I am glad I have the memory of it.
Did you study with any Gambians you remember in Bigat Seminary? Some Gambians were there?
Yes. Late Mr. Juf, Daniel Juf, we were the two from outside with the Cameroonians. We were in the same class, philosophy. And he suddenly became sick and was taken to the hospital. He died, and we did the burial. He's buried in the seminary grounds. But the father came, and I was the one who took it around. That was very sad for me because we thought 2 of us would be the first priests in our country.
Now, let's come back to a very big day. If I call the date, you will remember exactly. You will tell us what happened. 9th April, 1961. What happened?
I remember my mother crying during the time I prostrated, during my ordination as a priest. The Prime Minister was there, Belton Magai, with all his cabinet and paramount chiefs. Over 2,000 or 3,000 people in the church. Yeah, and that was my greatest moment. Was why is he lying down during the litany of the saints? And believe me, when I got up and Bishop Brosnahan then put his hand, for the ordination. My father, I remember, they all cried. They were on the front seats. And when I came out, I spent 2 hours blessing people all over the place. And this is my greatest moment, but I knew also I had a big challenge. First, black priest in Sierra Leone, you have to do this thing, and God helped me. I started working immediately. I knew what challenges I faced.
What was your first appointment?
My first appointment, the bishop remembered that he appointed me in this place where the nuncio said those words. So as soon as he came, he said, you are going to Moyamba, which is the parish where I started for 3 months. And after that, he said, you are going to look for vocations in this country. So I'm giving you a college that has closed in Moyamba to take small boys and put in them, they will be going to the primary school, put in them the idea of the priesthood. So I was there for 5 years. Oh yes, looking after them, we had all sorts of things, and some vocations came from there. And it was part of my work, and I also did parish work by going to the villages, walking.
How was it like then? I'm interested when you say walking. Today we talk about priests who don't have vehicles. They are not ready.
I have a very funny incident. I used to go with the catechists. They would follow me, my mass box and all that. One of the catechists took me from one place, and we were to walk through a stream and go to the other village. I didn't know that this catechist had taken some of the local stuff. I went on his back, and as we were crossing, right in the middle of the river, he said he was tired, he was falling. So I also held him by the scruff of the neck and made sure he reached the ground. I was all soaked, and this was my first visit. I have never forgotten that because it made people to realize that this is a local priest. He said he was not too well. I said, you are not too well. I know you drank something. And they gave me a great reception. I have to wait until my clothes got dry so that I can go and meet the people. But they gave a great reception that evening. I don't forget this because the poor catechist was very good. And I used him a lot to gather people, to teach people. So that experience I never forget.
Now, sometime in your priestly ministry, you went to study, and very interesting, this is very interesting to me. You studied communication and Italian. Where did you do this communication?
I went to Roma. I do know English, but in 1 year, thank God, I learned it. It was Angelicum. This is the university in social science and with all the communications there. And I really struggled because I had to learn Italian, but I don't regret it because I don't get lost in Rome. Then after that, my bishop said, let me go to do communications in Hat End, they call it, in London. This was the first Catholic communication center. And I did some course in it for 1 year before I returned home.
And how is your Italian like? You still remember Italian?
Oh, si. Bene. I really remember it because we have Italian priests in Sierra Leone and they know, please, be careful. That man knows Italian very well. I love it, and even up till now, the radio, etc., I love it. And it helped me in Rome during my work, because when I go to the Vatican, whether it is the bank or the Vatican offices, I speak in Italian. I don't speak English at all.
Now, at the age of 37, something happened. You were called. That was the time of, I think, Pope Paul VI.
Yeah.
To become the Bishop of Kenema. How was the feeling like? How was it like?
One thing I never liked in this thing, to be near a bishop. As a priest, I ran away from the bishop because I didn't want to hear anybody saying I will be a bishop. If you say that, some of the Irish priests used to have a good joke about it. The bishop solemnly sent me to Kenema, which is in the eastern province of the diocese. And he said, I am sending you there to take over a parish. Behold, they were doing all the work behind, and I never had an idea. Nobody told me. The priest came to visit me. They spent the day with me and went back. One day, my late brother came to me and said, there is something I have to tell you. He was looking after our parents. I said, you better tell me quick and go and look after our father and mother. He said, I have heard that the priests are voting for a bishop, and your name is high up on the list. As soon as he mentioned that, I said, yeah, go back. 2 weeks afterwards, the bishop suddenly arrived with a black bag. Bishop with black bag, don't. And a priest who God has called now came to me and said, I was in the post office selling tickets because I was very serious about raffle tickets. And bazaars were, I established it in Sierra Leone because we didn't have bazaars in Sierra Leone. This priest came and said, Bishop, my father, I said, the bishop is here. The last thing I wanted to do. I was sitting in the post office selling my tickets when I told the postmaster, when they come, tell them, Father Ganda is over there. He wants to buy a ticket, you to buy his ticket. So I came out. I thought this priest was joking. So he said, please, you have to hurry up because he is going back. I sat in my car and went with speed to the house, which is now the bishop's house. And I saw him going up and down. And I was wondering what this man has. My brother immediately came to me. As I went up, he called me to the room. He said, I have a letter for you. I said, God help me.